Now, correct me if I'm wrong, a dad's job is to protect his child, whether they be a child or an adult, mould them into being an upstanding member of society so they can achieve their dreams and avoid the pitfalls that come with being locked up behind a jail cell, spending years in HMP. So what does it say about a dad's character when a dad and son form a partnership and dive headfirst into forming an organised crime gang that deals multiple kilos of high purity white, being Class A? According to reports, Dad Dennis Mccabe and his son Liam McCabe had aspirations of being known as the premier and the top dog in dealings in Swansea, with aspirations of taking over Neath, Newport, and ultimately Cardiff. In order to achieve their dreams, the father and son team had teamed up with Rhys Higgins, whom was already known to police for his multiple arrest and jail sentences concerning the supply of Class A. Together, the trio had sourced a group of high-level dealers in Liverpool, whom were able to offer multiple kilos for a good price, and then they would travel to Liverpool in cars or motorhomes or vans, and then take the gear back to Swansea, where it was bulked up and then repackaged and then sold on for a profit. This was a commercial operation. Now, regarding Rhys Higgins, this is how bad he was. In 2017, Rhys had been tailed in a covert operation after police intercepted his car as he drove a kilo of Class A hidden in the footwell of the car, and this was back from Liverpool to Swansea. Now, police intercepted the car, put him in handcuffs, and then searched the vehicle, and of course they found the product. For this incident, the dealer had been jailed for 6 years and 7 months. Now, Rhys was released back into society early, but he did not learn his lesson, because actually, while he was on licence still, 6 months, he once again found himself being under police investigation after a member of the public had informed the police that Rhys was back to his old tricks. So again, police conducted another covert operation, and police attempted to arrest Rhys Higgins back in 2021 when they caught him in traffic on a motorbike. Rather than stop, Rhys just revved the engine on the bike and then took off. A police pursuit ensued again, and where Rhys was said to have ran red lights, driven on the opposite side of the road, and even nearly ploughed into a pedestrian before he sharply turned by Morriston Cemetery, and that was where he came flying off the bike. For this incident, Rhys Higgins was jailed for a little over 5.5 years. Now, 50-year-old Dennis Mccabe, who is from the Town Hall area of Swansea, he actually pled guilty to possession of Class A with intent to supply, and also possession of criminal property in the form of roughly £60,000. That was made from the upward sale of snow. 28-year-old Liam McCabe, who is from Barney Mize area of Swansea, he also pled guilty to being concerned in the supply of Class A, and of course possession of criminal property, as he was found with roughly £40,000. And as for 34-year-old Rhys Higgins, he pled guilty to concerned in the supply of Class A and also criminal property, being cash as well. Now, police first carried out an investigation as to why there was so much Class A being sold in Swansea. Police then looked into a motorhome that had been stolen sometime between January 8th and January 12th of 2021. The motorhome, which was said to be worth £30,000, was stolen outside the home in Swansea, and the vehicle had a tracker on it. Now, the motorhome had only been used 3 times, and it was still in perfect condition, pristine even. So when the owner realised that the motorhome was gone off the driveway, he activated the tracker and then called South Wales Police. So all police could do was keep a search for the motorhome, and then the tracker pinged. So when police received reports as of the location of the motorhome, police were led to an address off Havard Street. Then police and the motorhome owner went to that location, and they soon found that the motorhome was locked behind a fence and a gate in a secured industrial estate that could only be accessed via gates on Upper Strand. Now, police soon forced their way through the gates, and when they did, Bristol Crown Court heard that Liam McCabe was at the units, one of which had been used for a gym. Either Liam McCabe was eagle-eyed or he had spider sense, because when he saw at least half a dozen police officers ascend on his location, Liam so quickly ran inside the camper van and locked it from the inside. He was then heard to be shoving and throwing and moving items around. Police says that the entire motorhome had shook. It later transpired that Liam was actually using the stolen motorhome as a makeshift drug den, and he had been in the process of hiding the Class A white and also his cash. Now, Liam then opened the roller shutter and then squeezed himself out of the small window before running away. Liam's legs took him as quick as he could. However, Liam didn't get far, as he was soon caught and placed in handcuffs before being taken back to the camper van, where it was searched. Now, the prosecutor says that the motorhome had suffered bad damage, significant, in the time since its theft. It was covered in things like paint and plasterboard, with wires exposed and holes in the floor. On the roof of the vehicle, police also found a plastic pot that contained 15 wraps of H and 29 wraps of Class A in various weight deals, and a combined street value of around £1,500. That was lightweight for Liam McCabe. Now, he was arrested and taken to Swansea Central Police Station, and when he was questioned, of course, being no stranger to police and being from Townhill on Blonymice, he answered no comment to all questions. Now, when Liam McCabe went to court, the mother of his child, who's only 2 years old, had written a witness statement and described a character that was not the one who was standing face to face with the judge. Liam McCabe was described as hard-working, studious, and a dad whom took his parental duties very seriously, despite having 9 separate offences on his records. Now, if you remember, as part of the investigation into the dealing gang, Swansea police had carried out a number of raids at properties across Swansea in October, and they recovered more than £130,000 in cash, with almost 100 wraps of Class A, 10 mobile phones, and also weighing scales and a presser, and bulking agents. The court heard the police found evidence the organised crime group had been sourcing Class A quantities for onward supply, and that was in the multiple kilos. Now, 50-year-old Dennis Mccabe was sentenced to 3 years in prison, while Liam McCabe was jailed for 7.5 years. As for Rhys Higgins, he was jailed for 10 years. Now, speaking after the sentencing, South Wales Police Detective Sergeant Luke Tucker said, "Rhys Higgins, Liam McCabe and Dennis Mccabe are just the latest example of a drug supply criminals being caught and brought to justice in our force area. All had significant quantities of cash in their home addresses, which highlights that their legal activities were purely for financial gain, and they did not care at all for the welfare of those who purchased the items that they supplied. And now each one of them are completing a very hefty jail sentence that truly reflects their crime. Does the crime master sentence? Let me know. Stay safe.